Hello everybody and welcome back to another edition of the News with Noki. My name is Professor Noki and we have so much to go over today, so let's discuss. First up today, as always, we start with Pokemon, where they unveiled their brand new 6-episode animated series called Twilight Wings. Just last week, episode 1 titled Letter debuted on the official Pokemon channel. And if you haven't had the opportunity to check this episode out yet, I would highly suggest you do so after you watch this video. And honestly, after watching it myself, I don't even really know where to begin. This is what I have always dreamed of for the Pokemon anime, and I really wish it could have been this way the entire time. The art style is remarkable and the storytelling awe-inspiring, breathing brand new life into both the Pokemon and characters within this world. I mean, already after just one episode, the character building is so subtle yet complex and just leaves you desiring to know more about who these characters are and what role they're going to play in the overall story. And the only bad thing I can find about this series overall is that it doesn't last long enough. Though with each episode coming out once per month, maybe they're leading up to some bigger event here in 6 months, like a movie that takes place in the same world. Either way, I would absolutely love Pokemon to continue playing around in this brand new style of art that really sticks to the traditional anime style of many other franchises. And although I haven't seen the brand new season of anime that includes Ash, I really hope they borrow a lot of the same elements for that series as well. However, moving along, we have a lot of rumors that have been swirling around regarding Pokemon Sword and Shield and the most recently revealed expansion pass. As it was definitely hinted at during the Pokemon Direct, there will most certainly be future DLC for the Pokemon Sword and Shield games outside of part 1 and 2 that they've already shown us. And of course, anytime that there's any opportunity for speculation, there's also an increased chance of the rumor mill kicking up once again. Not to mention, of course, there are plenty of unexplored regions throughout the Galar map that they could use to focus on during these DLCs in the future. And maybe in conjunction with that, they will also include all the remaining returning Pokemon to finish out the complete national dex. Which, in my opinion, would actually be a fantastic way for them to bring all of the returning Pokemon back in various waves that allow you to enjoy the Pokemon a lot more deeply, especially with these differing storylines that will be playing out in the DLCs as well. There have also been a number of rumors that have been discussing the possible Diamond and Pearl remakes that we could also see coming out this year, as a lot of people were actually very shocked that we did not receive the announcement for these remakes at the Pokemon Direct, and instead got the announcement for DLCs, which absolutely nobody saw coming. Even I personally thought that the Diamond and Pearl remakes were certainly coming out this year, with a possible Sword and Shield revision coming out next year. Though, like I said, many of these rumors are stating that we will still see Diamond and Pearl remakes this year, along with the launch of the Crown Tundra in November. And honestly, as much as I would absolutely love to see Diamond and Pearl remakes sooner rather than later, I do feel like this is a bit of a long shot, especially considering we're getting Pokemon Mystery Dungeon remakes in March, a DLC in June, and then another DLC in November on top of it. I feel like not only would that be a bit too much for Pokemon content all at one time, but I also think that Game Freak wouldn't necessarily want Diamond and Pearl remakes to be competing with the Crown Tundra DLC for Sword and Shield. Of course, getting a couple of extra months in on the development of Diamond and Pearl wouldn't necessarily hurt anything either. So maybe how we could see it play out is that Diamond and Pearl remakes will come in 2021 after part 1 and part 2 of the DLC have already launched, and then we'll see part 3 and 4 of the DLC come the following year in 2022, before they either take a year break leading up to Generation 9, or maybe create sequels to Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee. Either way, who knows at this point? It's completely up in the air and nothing is confirmed. It's just really fun to speculate about all the amazing Pokemon experiences that we could see coming our way in the following years. Rounding it out for the Pokemon news today, we have some very exciting things to go over regarding Go. First of all, we got word that Latias and Latios will be returning for a very special raid weekend. Beginning on Friday, January 24th at 1 p.m. and lasting until Monday, January 27th at 1 p.m., you will be able to encounter Latias and Latios more frequently in raid battles. And not only that, but the most exciting part is that we're going to be able to encounter both of their shiny forms more frequently, which for legendary Pokemon actually carry a 100% catch rate. Therefore, essentially all you'd really have to do is feed it a Pinap Berry and then throw out your Premier Ball to catch it. Also, depending on when I get this video uploaded or when you're actually watching it, today is another Pokemon Go Community Day featuring the Sinnoh starter, Piplup. And you'll actually have the opportunity to take advantage of more in-game rewards, including extended lure durations from 1 to 3 hours, as well as the egg hatching time being reduced to a quarter of what they typically are. And now on to Marvel, where in the past couple of weeks there have been so many things taking place that I've really wanted to talk about, and I'm very excited to be discussing today. Starting with the really awesome first look at the upcoming movie, Morbius. And honestly, I love the fact that Sony and Marvel seem to be working together more and more on a lot of these projects. It seems like now more than ever they are actually working together to create an interwoven story with these characters in a very loosely shared universe. One where Sony is actually capable of creating a bit more darker, grittier storylines that include the use of characters that are a bit too edgy for the MCU in general. On top of that, Sony is really capable of utilizing a lot more mysticism in their movies, whereas Marvel has really committed themselves to maintaining a practical look at all of their characters, their powers and skills, and how they obtain them. I must also say that Jared Leto definitely does seem to be a good fit for this role overall, especially with his dynamic transition between the fragile, weak version of his character and the amplified, strong version of his character after he gets his powers. And I am very excited to see where this movie could take the entire Marvel Cinematic Universe as well as the Sony universe that they're creating, and all of the brand new characters that could be introduced through this movie, including many of the vampires that could tie into the upcoming Blade project as well. Not to mention, I cannot forget that crazy surprise twist cameo right at the end of the trailer of Michael Keaton's Vulture from Spider-Man: Homecoming. The inclusion of this character is absolutely wild and leads many people to speculate all of the different ways that they could tie Morbius into the Spider-Man movies, as well as the greater MCU on a whole. Then, speaking of MCU Madness, we have a story that actually broke a couple of days ago that Scott Derrickson, director of Doctor Strange 2, has quit the movie, about which both Marvel and Scott himself reported was on good terms, though was regarding some form of creative differences between Scott and Kevin Feige, and Feige's overall direction for where he wants the MCU to head. With many people speculating that this very well could be due to the fact that Doctor Strange 2 is shaping up to be one of the most paramount movies moving forward in the MCU to paint the picture of where everything is heading. Finally for Marvel, just a couple of days ago, Iron Man actor Robert Downey Jr. himself sat down on the Joe Rogan podcast and showed us all just how thoroughly complicated his mind really is. In the interview, Robert Downey Jr. is actually pressed by Joe Rogan as to whether he'll ever pick back up the mantle of Iron Man in another movie ever again. And aside from him being a bit tongue-in-cheek at points, he essentially goes over the fact that he really deeply loves the character of Tony Stark, though he does feel like he has kind of hung up the hat on that character to pass along the torch to future generations. Although he knows the fans would absolutely love him to make a return, at this point in his life, he just ultimately doesn't see that as a possibility. Which is definitely a sad revelation for anybody who really loves this character. However, there are still hopes that maybe we'll get a brief cameo in one of the upcoming What If animated series episodes, as they'll be going back over a lot of the different scenes throughout the MCU movies, including, I would assume, many of which that actually have Tony Stark in them. Up next today, we have a couple of stories that came out regarding Star Wars that I'd like to discuss. In a very strange series of events, it seems that somehow the original script for Episode 9 was actually leaked out to the general public, and like most things in this situation, it completely divided the fan base. Of course, with one side taking the absolute extreme of loving it with absolutely no exception, and the other side taking the absolute extreme of hating it with no exception. Like usual, I'm finding myself somewhere in the middle of these two ideologies about this script. I mean, upon reading it, there are definitely aspects that call out to me that would have been amazing to see in episode 9. However, I do feel like at the end of the day, the episode 9 that we actually got delivered to us by J.J. Abrams was ultimately a better approach to this story arc. And lastly for Star Wars, we actually have a bit of a rumor that's been passed around the last few days, which is stating that the Obi-Wan Kenobi series that was slated to come to the Disney Plus service is actually being either postponed, delayed, canceled entirely, or changed into a movie for the big screen. And for those of you who have actually been following along with the production of this series, you'll know that this is very interesting, as it actually originally started out as a movie, then got transitioned into a 6-part Disney Plus series. And so if it's going to be transitioned into a movie once more, I would be very curious as to why. Though many of the sources that are talking about this are very certain that they are correct on the information that they're receiving and giving out to the public, so I guess we'll have to wait and see. Moving right along, we have a couple of miscellaneous gaming topics to go over, starting with all the hype that's been surrounding the brand new game that's going to be launched called TemTem. There has actually been a tremendous amount of buzz surrounding this up-and-coming monster capturing game, which looks to really encompass a lot of the same magic that the Pokemon franchise has for the last 20 years. And although I haven't played the game yet, it does seem like there's enough change from the original formula of Pokemon to make it its own entire game altogether. And aside from that, the game itself was developed with multiplayer in mind, being an MMO experience for all players to enjoy together. With my only real negative feedback of this game being the fact that the TemTem themselves look like they lack a bit of personality, unlike the Pokemon characters that we've been used to for so long that have very expressive natures and personalities. However, of course, I am still very excited to get this game when it arrives on the Switch, and I really can't wait to try it out. Also, I really wanted to touch on the fact that a brand new Smash character was just unveiled this past week. Though, since I actually haven't had the opportunity to check this character out yet, I plan to do a live reaction video sometime this upcoming week so that you can see my reaction to this brand new character. And finishing it off for today, we have my channel news, where I am very happy to be presenting all of the brand new updates and upgrades that I've made to my channel over the past few weeks or so. As those of you who have been watching my videos have clearly seen, I have been going through a number of different upgrades here on my channel. Starting with my channel logos, my intros and outros, the overall editing and general quality of my videos, as well as you can see behind me, my brand new setup for the backdrop of my videos. Not only that, but my wife and I spent a number of hours just yesterday organizing our entire office around so that we also now have a new backdrop for all of our Full-Minded Fools videos as well. And on top of this, I have been working very hard to create brand new merchandise for all of my viewers to enjoy. Currently in the works are an entire series of Patreon member only videos that I'll be uploading probably at the beginning of February. My overall plan for these videos is actually to be a series of how-tos on how you can start up your very own YouTube channel with just the basic equipment and software. Not only that, but I'll give you a first-hand look at my routine and my daily schedules of how I actually manage my time to make all of this possible. And I feel very confident that by watching my video series, you will gain a better understanding of what it takes to be a content creator here on YouTube, and whether it's something that you actually want to devote the time, energy, and resources to do. Next up, I would like to give you a rundown of all of the content that I have planned for my channel this upcoming week, starting with tonight, where you can join my family once again at 7 p.m. Central Time for another Sunday Fun Day. Then tomorrow, once again on Noki Plays, you can join me live for another Minecraft Monday, where I'm very excited to be picking back up my tools and going back at the build that I started with last week. On Tuesday for ProfNoki, you can look forward to the third in my brand new video series, Fixing the Pokédex, where this week I'll be taking a look at everybody's favorite land sharks from Sinnoh, Gibble, Gabite, and Garchomp. Wednesday, I'll be going live once again in Pokemon Sword to start the arduous process of completing my Galar decks. Then on Thursday, for another midweek discussion, I'll be following up on many of the topics that I discussed here today, as well as generally talking about all of the different nerd happenings that occurred in this week. And I am considering making this a live stream event, so make sure you stay tuned in all my socials down below for further details. On Friday, I'll be diving back into Pokemon Sword for some more live Pokemon hunting, hopefully working my way ever closer to finishing the Pokédex. Finally, on Saturday, I hope you'll all look forward to another card collecting video, where I'll be busting open some more packs of Pokemon TCG. And of course, stay tuned Saturday evening, where my family will once again be diving into some more Max Raid battles. I thoroughly hope you enjoyed this breakdown of all of the news stories that I found interesting from this past week. And if you did, please consider liking, commenting on, and sharing this video to help support my channel. Also, if you're brand new here, please consider subscribing, as I post content here on YouTube every single day. Thank you so much for watching, and until next time, this has been Professor Noki, signing out once again for Noki Talks.